Good afternoon. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Ames and Story County, the United Way of Story County, the Ames, Iowa NAACP, and KHOI Community Radio, we warmly welcome you to the 2025 State of the Ames community. I'm Dr. Linda Sarah Hagedorn, ISU Professor Emeritus and board member of the League, and I am joined by Ashley Thomas, who is President and CEO of the United Way of Story County. We are honored to serve as your moderators for this afternoon.
Great, thank you, Linda, and good afternoon, everyone. This annual event is a cornerstone of civic engagement in our community, providing a unique opportunity for our residents to hear directly from our distinguished leaders about the current state and future direction of Ames. Your presence here today demonstrates your commitment to our community's growth and well-being. And now we'd like to introduce our distinguished guests. First, we'd like to introduce Dr. Jason Keith, who is our, I think we can still say, our new Senior Vice President and Provost, joining Iowa State University in the fall of 2024. The Honorable John Hala, the Mayor of City of Ames. We have President Brian Dieter of Mary Greeley Medical Center. Dr. Rob Denson at the end, who is the President of Des Moines Area Community College, or DMAC. Superintendent Scott Grimes, the Ames Community School District, and Supervisor Linda Merkin from Story County Supervisors.
All right, without further ado, we're going to begin with our first question. And our first question is, what are the primary opportunities and visions you see for your organization at this present time? And we're going to kind of encourage you to also introduce yourself because it is the first question. So what are the primary opportunities and visions you see for your organization at the present time? And we'll start with Mayor Hala.
Well, thank you very much. And this is an event I always look forward to. It gives us a chance not only to sit with distinguished panelists, but also to meet all of you and talk about the great things that are going on in our community. This is my 8th year, hard to believe, but serving as mayor, and it has been incredibly refreshing and fulfilling, and just looking forward to 2025. So from a standpoint of vision, I shared this last year, and it really hasn't changed, and that is to continue making Ames a thriving, vibrant, sustainable, healthy, and safe community that enhances the life of every resident, and that includes every student as well as every year-round resident. From terms of opportunities, we have spent the last few years completing a lot of plans, a lot of visioning, and so now we're headed into execution. And in 2025, we're anticipating completing the Fitch Family Aquatic Center. Looking forward to cutting the ribbon on that at the end of the year. Shanka Plaza, a soccer pitch that's going to go on at the Lloyd Kurtz Park, an agility course at Innes Grove. And council has considering also 4 or 5 other projects. We have some fire stations. We want to move from campus town to a more remote because it's kind of a safety issue. We're looking at potentially an indoor activity facility that will meet the needs of many people. And also we have a new park, you're probably aware of it, out on West Ontario, about a 50 acre park, and we're looking at master planning that. We're also increasing low to moderate income housing is an issue. We have an apartment complex under construction that we hope will be completed here this year. Continuing working on sustainability, and maybe you'll have a question on it later on, but how we handle solid waste disposal, resource recovery plant is a big issue, and that's one that's going to take a number of years. And last, increasing housing starts. Last year we had less than 60 new housing starts in the city of Ames, and so we're looking for ways and opportunities to open up more land and see some new single-family housing going in.
Thank you. Okay, Provost Keith, same question.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jason Keith, and 6 months ago I moved to Ames. I came from Mississippi State University, where I was Dean of the Bagley College of Engineering, a position I held for a little bit over 10 years. But I don't sound like I'm from Mississippi because I wasn't born there. I was born in Ohio. And so for me to go to where I grew up, I drive to Des Moines and turn left. I've really enjoyed living in Ames. It's the biggest city I've lived in 25 years. I'll tell more about that later. But in terms of opportunities, I love the land grant mission of Iowa State University. I came from a different land grant university, and the balance that is there between educating students at the undergraduate level, providing them with practical, hands-on knowledge that leads to immediate employment in manufacturing, agriculture, healthcare, and other related industries is really what land-grant universities are all about, and it's something that I believe firmly in. On top of that, it's the opportunity to conduct world-class research. The university is approaching $500 million of externally funded research, and we're looking at trying to solve problems to make the world a better place. Another advantage of working at a university like Iowa State is opportunities to interface with the city of Ames, with Story County, with the state of Iowa, to work with industries to relocate their facilities into Iowa or to start up new companies. We're just a mile or two away from the Iowa State Research Park, where a lot of that activity happens all the time, and we've added new companies into the research park that we're really excited about. A lot of our students graduate and they go work somewhere else, but they miss living here and they want to come back. And so having those kind of opportunities, a partnership between Iowa State University and the community is something that is very important. Thank you.
Thank you. President Dieter. What are the primary opportunities and visions you see for your organization?
No way to get anywhere close to my list in 2 minutes. I'm looking at you, Klaus.
We'll see if we can defer some time to you later.
Yeah. So I'm going to focus on our partnerships with educational organizations in particular, because there's several up here. In particular, we have been doing quite a bit with Iowa State University. As you might know, Iowa State University began an RN to BSN program, so that's from folks who already have their registered nursing certification and want to pursue and receive a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. Evidence suggests that nurses who are prepared with a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing are more impactful in terms of rescue of patients who are declining unexpectedly. And there's an ample body of evidence that would suggest that. And that degree has been meaningful, and we're excited about the potential to expand that in conjunction with Iowa State University. We also have partnered with Drake to offer a residency program for pharmacists. We offer a postgraduate one-year residency for those graduating with a pharmacy degree. I believe, I don't have 100% certainty, but I believe we are the fastest growing residency program in America. We doubled our size last year from 1 resident to 2. And then we have kind of a fun little project that works with the Iowa State College of Engineering, in that industrial engineering students who are completing the program take a capstone course. It's Dave Sly is the professor, and routinely those IE students select the Mary Greeley project as the one that they want to work on the most. And this year we're going to work on, go figure, some nursing rework and efficiency opportunities. So really excited about all those partnerships, and when time is yielded to me later, I'll tell you more of our priorities.
Thank you. Supervisor Merkin.
Thank you.
You can save me for last.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you want to go?
No, go
Yes,
ahead.
I'm sorry.
I kind of like it.
Superintendent-
No, I want to hear everybody else. and
Superintendent
then
Scott.
I'm just going to bring it all together. Go ahead.
That'll be fascinating.
It
That
will.
doesn't count towards my 2 minutes. Hi, I'm Linda Merkin. I'm in my 7th year, just starting my 7th year as a Story County supervisor, lifelong Story County native. Everybody else has moved here. I was always here. Doesn't matter, but
I'll keep that
it's something you have to say, okay? So the vision. First of all, I want to say this is a really great I think this is a great way to communicate with people. I appreciate the fact, because as we have less ways to communicate with the public, I appreciate forums like this where we can talk about what we're doing and have some back and forth about it. For me, as a public official, it also helps me think about the last year and sit back and say, where are we going? Sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees. It's an old saying, but it's true. You're involved in the day-to-day. You say, but what are we accomplishing? What are we doing? So I spent a couple hours this morning thinking about that, and I don't know if any of it's profound, but here goes. Want to know about the vision? We have a vision at the county that employees participated in putting together. It's that we engage our diverse communities to responsibly provide quality opportunities and services that matter. And I remember the discussions about that, and I remember how it seems kind of wordy, but I remember how every word was important in that. Responsibility is, I think, very important in terms of public use of money, and to provide services that matter, because sometimes we just do the same old things, and we have to say, are we providing services that really matter to people? So I was thinking about opportunities, and I was thinking about challenges and opportunities, not just opportunities, because there's always challenges involved in that too. What I think we will be looking at, I know we will, is to build on some things we've already started in the past few years. And I have to tell you, the American Rescue Plan funds that local government received a few years ago were just instrumental for these communities. There are a lot of building projects, good projects that we were all able to contribute to that are really providing services that matter. The first thing that we did, the first thing I'm going to talk about is that it's time. I'll work all these in.
It's time.
It's time.
I yield my time.
I'll take it. I'll talk. To be continued. So you're on the edges of your chairs, right? What are the things that are really important? I'll tell you later.
Thank you. Okay, and now certainly Superintendent Grimes.
First up here, I got a stack of business cards, and so if anything I talk about resonates that you want to be part of or you need to support and you believe in public education and you want to contact me of ways you can support the Ames Community School District and everybody else up here, there's a limited number, I know. Don't run up after here, but come get a card and hopefully we can connect to better support Ames Community School District and all the businesses around and either our neighboring school districts as well. Scott Grimes, was born and raised in Iowa. 31 years in public education, was a successful public education graduate. I'm not sure if my teachers agree with that. Was raised by two blue-collar workers, and they instilled in us the belief of upper education, and they have 4 children that have advanced degrees and multiple degrees, all in supporting the sector of the public. So I am the black sheep of the family and the youngest, if you couldn't tell. So I've done 17 years in superintendency, once at Liza Muscatine. I was at Dow Center Grimes for 12. I supported Perry for 6 months after the shooting last year, of which I'm still in contact with and supporting in best ways I can, but I'm fortunate to now have the opportunity to take my experiences, time, and connections within the state of Iowa to hopefully best interest for the Ames Public School District as well as the university, DMAC, Ames community, and all the anyway. So the big areas that I'm focused on that you're going to hear over and over about today is we're expanding our mental health supports. We're first aid health for students. We're working with Classroom Clinic and Hazel Health for online supports for students in the classroom so they do not have to leave the classroom or the building to be able to get some mental health support, enhancing family and community engagement, hosting events for families like Parent University, promoting transparent communication through our Parent Square, and as they can say, promoting transparent communication for having me be out in public. Time's up. Enhancing teaching and learning, which I can talk about later. I thank you very much for listening to that.
Thank you. All right, Dr. Denson.
Well, I always look forward to this event. I want to thank the League and the NAACP and the United Way for doing it. See a lot of friends in the audience. I want to recognize DMACC trustee Cheryl Langston, who's been on our trustee board volunteering hundreds of hours a year to keep our college on the straight path. Of course, Larry Evers here was the first person to turn me down for a job in higher education. I've still got the letter. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities right now. Some of them are a little bit frightening. We see a lot more effort in work-based learning. We're very excited, and we're working with juniors and seniors in high school up through our students. Many of our students in the last couple of years of high school or when they're at DMACC need to work. So we're trying to work with companies to provide more opportunities to gain educational skills while they're doing their work. So it's exciting to see these young people pick up all kinds of new skills. Excited about AI. A few weeks ago, Intel Corporation picked DMACC as the first AI for the Workforce College in Iowa. We're using the Intel curriculum. We've now started the 4th cohort of a non-credit AI course through continuing education while we develop our credit program that we'll announce next fall sometime. We're doing a lot of interaction with Iowa State and all the IT work they do there. I think our biggest opportunity at DMACC is just our flexibility and our willingness to move quickly. As I'll probably say later, we never spent more time than we do now trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Because there are a lot of efforts both in the state and national that the shifting sands, I should say, but we're going to be ready. Our enrollment is strong. We're actually larger than we were pre-pandemic. I'm the 4th president of DMACC in 59 years. I'm in my 22nd year, and as of last December, I became the longest-serving DMACC president, but I'm most proud of the fact that I'm the first native-born Iowan to be president of DMACC, so not bad for a kid who started out as a truck driver. So.
Number 2. Thank you. Moving on to question number 2.
Thank you. The second question, and we're having a little side discussion over here on the next question, so I'll be a little bit more general in our questions. So with the new year comes a new Iowa General Assembly, a new federal administration, new local officials. So keeping that in mind, how is your organization preparing for challenges or opportunities that may exist in that space? And how does your organization work to balance your current and upcoming budgets? So, Dr. Keith, we'll start with you.
Do I get 4 minutes, Mayor?
Sure.
I'll give those to Scott. Yeah, so on the federal level, there's, the inauguration was just earlier this week, and it's quite clear that there's a priority on, bringing jobs into America, American productivity, having a really strong economy. And so this is something that Iowa State trains their students in every day is preparedness for getting jobs that make a difference in the lives of the citizens of the world, of the United States of America, and particularly here in Iowa. And so we're all ways about that in terms of how we align with funding opportunities at the federal level. Our office in our division of academic affairs coordinates with Sophia McGill, who works for President Winterstein, and we try to stay aligned in terms of targeting funding opportunities, collaborating with other universities on relevant opportunities. So we're competing for a really large $100 million proposal that's being led by Peter Dorhout, who's our Vice President for Research. It's part of the ENGINES call, and it's really about creating jobs and manufacturing type industries. We also do a lot to support agriculture. Just recently, there was a grand opening for the Alliance Energy Agriculture Innovation Lab just a mile or two from here. Very highly attended by people from Ames as well as from our government. With the new legislative session starting in the state, Carol Ann Jensen is our state relations officer, and I'm on the phone with her all the time, talking about some things. There's some new legislation that's being proposed that could impact higher education, including us at Iowa State University. And so really, it's staying coordinated and staying on the same page. But really, a lot of the opportunities, again, center themselves at the state level as well as the federal level on this concept of workforce creation. You heard that's a priority for DMACC. It's also a priority for Iowa State. It's creating opportunities to grow the economy of the state and of our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Keith. So same question, President Dieter.
You can call me Brian, by the way. Workforce, add our name to the list of workforce. The reason for all of our academic partnerships is really because workforce has become crucial. We're a service industry, service provider. We need our people. With regards to changing administrations, et cetera, I think we're going to focus on items that we know are going to be implemented and have a strong likelihood of being implemented, as opposed to those that might have made a news cycle worth of interest. And in particular, I'm focused on Governor Reynolds' plans. She has significant plans to address both maternal child and mental health, with in particular increasing the number of residents that our state produces. When somebody completes medical school or residency in medical training in our state, they have a greater likelihood of staying in our state. And I believe that there is a role for Mary Greeley with our existing schools of medicine to be able to provide some residency and medical student opportunities. So we're going to be looking to pursue that. And then looking at, in particular, with mental health, I think that we have had that as a strength for a number of years, and we're looking in particular at strengthening our partnership with YSS. You might know that they have a very significant construction project in the south part of our county that I think is going to do some really amazing things for kids in our community, and we're looking forward to seeing how we can play together on that.
Great, thank you, Brian. Same question to Superintendent Grimes.
All right. Still, we're going to be expanding on mental health, family community engagement, teaching and learning. While doing that, we have to understand kind of what problem opportunities are going to be provided to us as changes happen within our legislation and our federal government. I notice I said problem opportunities and opportunities, and each of them are a positive thing that we have to find out how we're going to work around. When it comes down to that, I know that there's a push for a lot of hands-based two-year college internships through our state that we can tap in to help provide some of the ideas that I have around a K-12 and beyond vision that works with DMACC as well as Iowa State, the research park. Had a couple of meetings recently to find out ways that we can bring down the DMACC, working with juniors and seniors, and see if there's ways to provide opportunities for our middle school students as well as our elementary students, and also having that same conversation with the City of Grimes, with businesses in the Alliance, and then Iowa State. All of those, I think, do align for the legislation on what they're looking for to try to provide opportunities for our students to find jobs out of high school and be career ready, whether that's a 4-year, 2-year internship or just a hands-on job that they just want to get out of high school and have a job right away. So we could be looking at KCs, anything else. What our job as a district is K-12 is to work with legislation, do more with less, and provide the best education system and support that we can get for public education and Ames specifically. The K-12 Beyond vision is beyond. It is a huge concept. If you've heard of Iowa Big over in Cedar Falls, if you've heard of Apex Wilkes Building in Waukee, Boone has some smaller things, but this is something that I would like to tackle as a community, as Regency, as the DMAC, and I've talked with Rob about this, I think 13 or 14 years ago, at a meeting at DMAC when I was at Dallas Center Grimes, so don't think I haven't forgot you didn't respond to my email. And so talked with the mayor about it, and I fully believe that our legislation hopefully is doing what's best for Iowa. As a public education, I do feel like we're being constricted, and we just need to find ways around our opportunities that's being provided us from the federal level and state level. I also have a letter coming out to our families to help them ensure that we're going to make sure we're doing the best with dignity and respect when it comes down to our students that are minorities or have immigration concerns as we try to educate our population without having that being a factor.
Great. Thank you, Superintendent. Supervisor Merkin.
Thank you. I'm not sure if our priorities are really going to change. Our continued priority is to provide the best services to the residents of Story County. And I've always said people want three things out of government. They want to keep themselves and their families safe. They want to have their taxpayer dollars used wisely, and they want government to create opportunities. Those are the things that we have been focusing on. And the problems that we're addressing don't really change either. We know there's a lack of affordable housing. We know that there are people whose roofs leak. We know there are people who don't have roofs. We know that broadband is not yet totally in Story County. People don't have adequate broadband. We've been working on that. We're continuing to work on that. Natural disasters, we've seen several of those since I've been a supervisor. I've worked with the Emergency Management Commission on those. We worked with COVID, worked through the derecho. And we're now seeing impacts, not like some parts of the country, but impacts of climate change. We need to look forward and think about that. And we still have food insecurity, yes, in Story County. There are transportation issues. And there are also people who don't have jobs that give them enough money to have good housing or to meet all their family needs. We have been addressing those issues for housing. We used some ARPA funds to bring 2 homes for Iowa to Story County, and when there's one in Nevada and one in McCallsburg. And when those sell, that money will be turned over. Thank you, Story County Housing Trust, for administering that. That will be turned over, and we'll bring more homes. And those are infill homes, single lots where there's already infrastructure, and we can help with affordable housing. Colo also has a housing development going. That's a dream they've had for a long time. The Alliance, the Chamber Alliance, recently did award to both Story County and to Colo for our housing that we have been working on. We still have a lot of things to do in our housing action plan, and it's time again, and that time goes so fast. I'll tell you more about them later.
Thank you, Supervisor. Dr.
Yeah, whether it's at the state or the federal level, there's just a lot we don't know. And we're going to be optimistic that we're going to be able to work through anything, but you're going to see DMAC doubling down on our mission of student success and partnerships that help students succeed. We're all about helping everyone get into a job or get prepared for the next 2 years of a 4-year degree. We're going to work harder at making, and the data is there. We know which students are not doing as well, not performing as well, and they've got barriers, so we're going to do a lot better job of data mining and strategically going after those students that need the assistance even before they know they need it. So we're excited, and again, we're trying to make sure that we focus on the positive things that can come out of the federal government or the state, and just work hard on student success.
Thank you. Mayor?
Yeah, I would agree with a lot of the panelists here, and Linda mentioned that our priorities aren't going to change, ours aren't going to change either. It's kind of hard to assess right now. We have obviously a new federal administration, and then it's early in the new General Assembly here at the state level, so we're kind of taking a watch and see. But I wanted to share a couple things that if for example, you probably heard of DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. If they are going to start cutting money, we want to know where that's going to be coming from. And there's two main sources or two big programs that we have in our community that rely on federal funding, and one is transit. We get about, I think a few years ago, we get about over $2 million a year from the federal government to help pay for bus replacement and also facilities. And if they start trimming that back, we're going to have a reset on that. So, and secondly is we get home funds and CDBG funds that help pay for LMI housing. A lot of the Baker-Latimer subdivision has been funded in part, or if not in total, by those funds. So if they're looking for ways to start trimming, and they're looking for things that potentially could be low-hanging fruit, they start cutting that, we're going to have as a community start talking about it. And then we cannot not talk about the state legislature and property taxes. I don't think anybody likes paying property taxes. That includes me. But the bottom line is that we look at what property taxes go to pay for in terms of services and amenities, and I've not heard anybody ask to close the library or essentially close parks or do other things. But when it comes down to it, if funds start getting reduced, we're not going to start saying we're going to close the police department down or fire department. There's certain essential services we have to have. It's going to become discretionary. And so the point is that it's a wait and see. It's a 2-year General Assembly. There'll be conversations already going on. But those are the ones that we're kind of focusing on now. But again, to Linda's point, we're not going to change our priorities. And Scott, I'll remember not to reply to your email. You forgot 13 years ago. So.
All right, question number 3, and we will be starting with President Brian Dieter. What actions and plans do you have to ensure your organization is open and inviting and meets the needs of all the people you are entrusted to serve, regardless of gender, race, age, sexual orientation, or any other demographic? Okay.
So we are committed to being a welcoming and safe environment for everyone. That includes our patients and their families and for our workforce. We have utilized a patient advisory committee that has provided us feedback on items such as designing a new obstetrics unit, and we intentionally included non-traditional parents into that to get a feedback. We actually had one of those egg on your face moments where we had a couple, 2 women and a couple, and the non-birthing mother came and asked me which name band she was supposed to wear, because they had father and mother and none for her. And that was one of those moments where you go, we can do better. Our employees benefit from employee resource support groups that tackle such areas as grief, racism, LGBTQ issues, etc. Our values at Mary Greeley are the acronym PRIDE, and they stand for people-oriented, respectful, innovative, dedicated, and effective. I don't see anything in any of those that is limiting to national origin, sexual orientation, gender, economic status, or anything else. We think we can be a place for all, and we will continue to do that.
Thank you. We'll move on to Superintendent Grimes.
Yeah, we educate all. That's a simple fact when it comes down to public education. We educate all. Anyone that walks through our doors, we educate without judgment, without beliefs of where they come from or what they believe in, but we as a public education system must educate all. I was fortunate to walk into an organization that had already done a strategic plan and had very strong alignment for us to work through as we move forward as a district, because as you have unrest or challenges, it's always good to have a strong strategic plan or a third item to come back to reunite yourself and focus on your purpose. And I just want to read the part of the definition of educational equality when it comes down to Ames. And this should be similar to anywhere, so it's not like a new message. It should be one that everybody believes. Every member of the Ames schools community across individual characteristics, identities, and circumstances is provided with intentional access to high-quality experiences and opportunities in our schools that continue to proportionate outcomes for all students. And that is what we stand for. We continue our effort to diversify our courses to provide opportunities for every child in the CTE world or hands-on development. We've opened up our Ames Center, which provides an alternative assessment center for for a large number of our homeschool students. We provide translators for 14 different languages, and that will continue to grow as we are within district to help provide streamlined communication and break down barriers between our families and the school. We'll encourage student leadership for advocacy through our school board. And I think most of all, when I talk about the K-12 vision, and I'm going to bring it up again, K-12 vision and beyond, is providing every opportunity for every kid to see themselves, believe in themselves, and see people in the same jobs they want to be. And I need your help, and I need your opportunities to provide opportunities for our kids that walk through our doors and out our doors every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent Merkin.
I'm going to start out by giving a shout out to Supervisor Latifah Faisal, who received the 2025 Humanitarian Award at the MLK Day celebrations on Monday. A lot of the things that I'm going to report on, she either initiated, supported, cajoled, whatever. Made a lot of things happen at the county. So she supported forming our first Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee and examining equality in Story County hiring practices and policies. Since she joined the board, we have added Martin Luther King Jr. Day and Juneteenth as holidays at Story County. We've also been involved in International Women's Day. She also, she serves on Story County College Access Network Leadership Team, and she's assisted in working towards the goal of increasing the percentage of Black and Hispanic learners with FAFSA completion rates to increase opportunities for career readiness. And she's also, through the College Access Network, they're working on Story County Reads to expand that work from birth to work. We have, in the last year, had many employees attend Navigating Differences Cultural Competence Training, which we had not done before. We are also in the process of putting together an ambassador program, pairing staff with new hires, and that is a specific goal of making Story County government a more welcoming workplace, because we are very concerned about that. We're very concerned about retention. We are also, there's a couple other things we have in our strategic plan that we're going to be working on. Supervisor Heddens is working on forming a disability advocacy council for the county, and we're also going to do an accessibility study of all Story County services and operations. So we've got a lot on our plate for the next few years in terms of our strategic planning. And I want to thank the other supervisors for leadership they have taken on those efforts.
Thank you. Dr. Denson.
Yes, DMAC serves a little over 36,000 credit and 21,000 non-credit students every year. We're an open access institution, and we recruit all demographics very aggressively. If you slice and dice our data on socioeconomic or academic ability or achievement and look at who falls within each of those sectors, everyone's there. We've got every diverse or non-diverse population involved. So again, we want to identify the students that are actually having issues and making sure that we're addressing their issues directly. We don't create any special programs for any particular group or individual, but we do want to make sure that everyone is taking advantage of the opportunities and the supports that DMAC has and is available to everyone at the college.
Thank you. Mayor Hala.
Yeah, I just, without repeating what Brian and others have said, City of Ames also adheres and is committed to all those positions. And one of the things that council takes very seriously is seeking to make Ames a welcoming community, and also making sure that people feel that they are a part of Ames. And as you're probably all aware, we have over 100 different nationalities, thanks to Iowa State University, which is a big help. Lots of different spoken languages here. Appreciate what the school district is doing, also to make them feel welcome. One of the things that we do have is a Human Relations Commission, which intentionally seek to appoint people from all different nationalities, sexual orientation, and I've actually been pushing them to even take on more initiatives. They said, well, if you're going to do that, we need some more help. So anyway, we expanded that to 7 individuals, and they're really putting their shoulder to the plow. And so council's also looking for ways to even be better in terms of community engagement, especially those who are under-resourced or who may not be normally used to engaging with council. And then we certainly continue to support, as a city and the council, all the different events. Recently, the MLK Day, NAACP Freedom Fund Banquet, AAPI Heritage Month celebration. I'm not sure if maybe some of you have been to that, but I am absolutely stunned at the size of crowd that comes out for that. It's a great thing that happens in September. But there's just other events, and we just are proud to call Ames, home, and hope that everyone feels that they are also welcomed and a part of the community.
Thank you. Provost Keith.
One of the other things that attracted me to move to Iowa State University was the 9-year strategic plan, a dynamic, innovative journey. And as part of that strategic plan, there's an aspiration to cultivate an environment where all students, faculty, and staff flourish. Underpinning all of the activities at the university are the principles of community, which include respect, purpose, cooperation, richness of diversity, freedom from discrimination, and honest and respectful expression of ideas. And that's really what a university is about. It's welcoming everyone. At the Faculty Senate meeting a month or 2 ago, I reported on some statistics in terms of student success at Iowa State University, and we have 87.6% of our students that start as first-year students make it into their second year. That's within 1 percentage point of the all-time high first to second year retention for the university. Our 4-year graduation rate is 60%, which is a record high for Iowa State University. And our 6-year graduation rate, which is a more important statistic, is at 75.5%, again within a little bit more than 1 percentage point away from an all-time high. So I've formed partnerships with Toya Younger, who's our Vice President for Student Affairs, to really look at both sides of the equation here. We need to have students that enjoy their program of study, the curriculum that they're involved in, that they think that they're learning things and can make a difference when they graduate. But then they also need to feel like they're part of a community and feel welcome. And Ames plays a big role in that, welcoming students here, but then also want to make sure that students have opportunities to share ideas with their friends, to develop friendships and relationships. When I was a student, I needed to go to talk to my classmates and to talk to other people to learn how to be involved in different activities and how to get involved in professional societies. So mentoring other people also plays a role in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Keith. Brian?
I thought I started.
Great, he started. Okay. Apologies. Sure. So my question is related to collaboration, both collaboration within the community and amongst your respective organizations. So all of you have worked in a variety of collaborations on many different issues, whether that's public health, disaster responses, job training, among others. Can you share a present challenge or success in working in collaboration with each other or with the Ames and Story County community? And in collaboration, how does your organization foster and encourage future community leaders? So we'll start with Superintendent.
Yes. So I got to put my head around this a little bit. Being new in the community and fostering relationships, it's a matter of connecting, building trust, and building back the trust that possibly, due to some inconsistencies, have been provided in the Ames Community School District. Along with that, by looking at bringing back the Ames Education Foundation, restarting that with the new board. So if any of you are interested in being part of that, come up and get a card. And on that is to provide some supports and academic supports for our students. So building that with our businesses, nonprofits through that action. PK and Beyond Superintendent, I talked about collaborating with, I've had meetings with the ISU Research Park. I've had meetings with DMAC combined, the Alliance, and also had conversations with the city about this concept of building relationships and connections with businesses, community, to provide opportunities for our students to be successful no matter what career path they choose after high school. With all that, we also have, a good connection with our Girls and Boy Scouts Club, before and after school care. We have a good connection with the city with use of our facilities. We're talking about ways to get our other population to have opportunities to provide within our city and connecting with that aspect of it. On the other piece of that, I know that we may be asking for things that you may feel school districts ask for all the time, or what are you doing with that money? I can assure you that I can probably explain exactly what funding is going to go to and how efficient we're being used that with our relationships with the people we work with. Before you start to put money towards the school, you need to be able to believe and trust that that money is going to be used for what the best interest of the student population is. On top of that, we're trying to increase our FFA, our DECA, other center career focuses for our clubs within our high school, trying to increase those for our students so they can see themselves once again in a career path that they can believe in, and also see others have faith and belief in them that they can succeed at the level they want to go. Well, within the support of businesses, FFA, we also had a local business that just paid for students to be part of the FFA to help offset some of that cost for some of our students that may be not as easy to have funding to support what they want to do in our schools.
Great. Thank you, Superintendent. Supervisor Merkin.
Thank you. I talked a little bit about the housing successes that we have had, and those are with the Story County Housing Trust. That was a collaboration, and with the cities of Nevada and McCallsburg. We are also collaborating right now with the city of Ames to study the needs of the unhoused individuals and find the best practices that we can. Both the county and the city have put some money towards hiring somebody to help us get a plan that will help us get closer to solving the needs of unhoused individuals in this community. I am looking forward to that, to find some more ways to move forward there. Another collaboration that I really have valued in the past few years is working with our telephone companies, our telcos, that out in the rural areas provide the fiber for broadband. We have helped them, the county has helped them get state funding, and I think we've brought over $10 million into Story County. And we are hoping that most of the county, by the end of this year, I think will have good, affordable, accessible broadband. There are still some areas that don't, and we're going to have to look at some more innovative things, because putting fiber in the ground costs a lot of money, as I've found out. It's incredibly expensive, and when you have 1 or 2 households per mile, it just doesn't cost out for anybody to do it, even with federal or state support. An issue that I've worked on a lot in the past few years is water quality. I chair 2 groups called Watershed Management Authorities, one for the headwaters of the South Skunk and the other one for the Iowa Creek. And what's a watershed? So what? Well, these are 2 watersheds that all the water in those watersheds comes right here to Ames, okay? And we are in a state that has a voluntary nutrient reduction strategy. What that means is we have to work very hard to talk to cities, to talk to landowners, to talk to whoever, to say, here are some best practices that can keep nitrate out of our water, can keep other things out of our water. We have, in Story County, successfully put in a lot of edge-of-field practices, bioreactors and saturated buffers. We get a lot of that money from the feds and the state, but the county and the city also put money into that. So we are trying to do what we can on a voluntary basis to get, to basically get our water cleaner. And Iowa has a problem. I even heard a legislator, I was very surprised when a legislator the other day said to me, Iowa has a nitrate problem. And I thought, I never thought I'd hear that person say that. Now let's do something about it, I keep saying. The other thing we're doing is we're working with Boone and Hamilton counties in these two WMAs to work with landowners in those counties and Story County to get more cover crops in, to possibly get some more wetlands created, to do all the things that we know can help keep, all these chemicals from going into our water. It's slow work. I remember somebody told me when I was the first supervisor, I said, are we going to get this to somebody? I said, we're going to get this done like next year. And she looked at me and said, Linda, I'm not sure you have the patience for water quality work. I have. It has been something in terms of learning patience, because it is. You do it one person at a time, one landowner at a time. Well, we're going to have several landowners. We're going to have a field day in July in Hamilton County, I think just south of Stanhope. We've got a farm that we're going to have cover crop seeder. We're going to do a big presentation on here's how a cover crop seeder works, here's how it can help you do the right things with your land. It's something I'm very excited about. I'm hoping that, it does take patience, but we need to clean up our water. It's a huge need in this state. So, and that's a big collaboration. We've got cities, counties, soil and water conservation districts, people from Iowa State on our group, just a whole lot of folks who really are experts in water quality. I'm no expert. I just want it. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Denson?
Yeah, DMAC probably has more consistent and in-depth interaction with Story County and Ames than any of our other sites around central Iowa, and we've got 13 of them. The Hunziker Center at the northwest corner of 35 and 30 it was the gold standard and continues to be in career academies. It was one of the first in the state, so we're very proud of our interaction with our K-12s here. We work with the hospital, with the K-12, with Iowa State University. Iowa State University is our #1 target goal for our students that are going on for a 4-year degree. So we're very excited with that. We work a lot with the Chamber Alliance. I think the president is still Jeff Janes, a DMAC employee that works out of the Hunziker Center. We were very involved with the Alliance, Dan and Brenda, with the DAISY project going on between here and Boone. And I think Brenda told me today that the project is now 33% larger than what we thought it was going to be. So it's going to be an amazing facility, particularly in the Derry area. So again, we're very excited about the work we have here. We're always looking to do more, so just let us know.
Thank you. Mayor?
Yeah, I think everyone here should be really encouraged to realize that I count all these individuals up here as friends, and we meet together, we talk. Dr. Keith and Dr. Winterstein, Steve Shanker and I meet quarterly. Also with the school board, I think Linda, we're not necessarily attached at the hip, but we spend a lot of time talking about things. But the point is, we want what's best for Story County and all of the Ames residents, and it's not that we're operating in silos. That's something that when I first considered running for mayor, one of the things I was committed to was basically forging strong relationships, and I think we actually have a tremendous team here up front that are committed to working together and not just basically operating in our own little world. I want to just focus on fostering and encouraging future community leaders. I think that's a really important question because all of us, hard to believe, are getting up in age. And we need to be replacing and providing new leadership. And so I sat on a panel here a few months ago at a FUEL, which is used to be Young Professionals group, and just encourage people to get involved with boards and commissions, as volunteer, to get involved with what's interesting to them and passionate. And I had one person come up who said that they were interested potentially in running for city council sometime. I said, outstanding. How about getting on a board and commission to start with and getting your feet wet? We just had an asset meeting last night. Asset, which helps I think we're going to invest $5 million this year, I think, between the county, the city, United Way, and Iowa State student government into social service agencies. A phenomenal program, and actually we're the envy of the United States of America. People just come up and I'm so proud of it. But the point is that those volunteers work really hard, and that's a great opportunity to know what's going on in the community. And then also council meets with student government twice a year to try and foster and build relationships. We have a great president and vice president. And we also have an ex officio that sits on council as well too, to try and encourage that. But I do think that's something that we all need to be thinking about. How can we encourage others to get involved? And I believe that getting involved really breeds ownership and excitement. And if you have any questions or what you might get involved with, come up and talk to me. I don't have business cards, but I'll make sure I can get the information to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Dr. Keith?
With only 4 questions, I guess I got to tell another joke or story here. So I got a text message not that long ago from someone I used to work with at Mississippi State. It said, "The Jason Keith effect, Iowa State is 11-3 and we're not." So I'm not taking credit for that, but the success of the athletics programs and football and basketball have an impact on the economy, and it really allows us as a land-grant university to attract high-quality students and faculty, and so the partnerships play a big role in that. But another success is, the strong impact that Iowa State has on the economy of the state, measured in billions of dollars, but that's not happening only due to the university. It's a strong partnership with the city, with the county, with the school district, with DMACC, with the hospital, and so all of that plays a big role in a collective success. In terms of fostering, encouraging future community leaders, we encourage our students to get involved in student organizations. I talked about at the end of one of the other questions how I had to get invited to attend a professional society meeting. I didn't even know what it was about, but then I got involved, became an officer, got an interest in service, right? And so these things start from a small seed, but they grow, to your point. We encourage our students to get involved in student government. That's a great partnership. We encourage faculty to get involved in faculty senate and other opportunities in shared governance. It means that people have a seat at the table, they have an opinion, we'll sit around the table and share our thoughts. And in my role as senior vice president of our academic affairs division, I'm responsible for the final decision, but I'm going to bring in all of those factors. And so really having time to listen to what other people have to say plays a big role in supporting community leadership as well. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Dr. Keith. Brian?
One of the things that I think I'm most proud of that's come to the community in recent times is the latest chapter in a longstanding partnership between Mary Greeley Medical Center and Heartland. It started with some support for outreach. They have a significant outreach program to try and keep people in their homes. We learned of some of the problems in their kitchen back in their old facility. We were able to supplement some of their kitchen equipment with some kitchen equipment that we were getting ready to get rid of at Mary Greeley. And then we did a really big blow up and redesign of our Meals on Wheels program, removing some duplication of services, providing a more reliable and consistent meal source, and the latest is obviously the beautiful new 60 Forward Center, and Mary Greeley's participation there continues with a variety of our areas and departments providing programming, including our Rehab and Wellness, Cancer Resource Center, Cardiopulmonary, Diabetes and Nutrition Education, Public Health, and Primetime Alive. So that's probably one of my most successful, and I couldn't spend time up here without talking just the tiniest bit about ARCH. ARCH has gotten a lot of good press recently. We are on version 2.0 of ARCH. We started that with a 6-month trial program with 40 hours a week of service financially backstopped by our Medical Center Foundation to get us up and running. We are continuing to explore funding sources, and we are very appreciative of all those who have stepped up and funded, most notably and most recently the city. So I think that adds a significant layer of service for folks who are suffering mental health crisis, and we're proud to be able to do that now for 60 hours a week. So again, growth, and that's version 2.0, and we will see a 2.1 or a 3.0, we know.
Great, thank you.
That concludes our formal questions, and now we're going to be looking at questions from you, the audience. We've collected about 11 questions, and this is very interesting because of the 11 questions, it reveals what's really important to this group. 7 of these cards are related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we don't have time to ask all of these, so let me sum it up, make it one big question, and perhaps, John, maybe we could give them maybe 3 minutes because it's a complex question, okay? Lots of moving parts, and it's obviously extremely important to the people that we hear their responses. All right. Our audience is concerned. They're seeing closings of LGBTQ offices, the DEI offices, and officers at the universities and schools. They're concerned that there may not be the same emphasis on the hiring of diverse staff and diverse workers in general. Their fear that there is a neglect, there may be a neglect of creating a diverse community. And I guess the fear is that they worry that there may be push to do these kinds of things. So the question then is, what are you doing to counteract the pressures that may be afoot to narrow, to eliminate, or to make very inevident your movements towards diversity, equity, and inclusion? How are you keeping that alive? I know that's a difficult question, but I put that together from multiple questions, and I think I covered most of it. We'll start with Supervisor Merkin. How are you keeping DEI alive?
She has 18 minutes, right?
I hope so. I hope so. Well, we have no plans that I'm aware of to disband our DEI committee. I don't know why we would. We continue to plan for our ambassador program so we can be a welcoming workplace, and we're going to continue to do that. We're going to lead by example. I don't know what else to say. I did read an essay recently, and I wish I could remember the phrase exactly. It's from a small book called On Tyranny. And the first essay says, do not react in anticipation of what's coming. Don't anticipate that something bad is going to come, and get ready for it and figure out how you're going to figure out how you're going to, I can't find the word I'm thinking of. It's cooperate with it. Don't do that. Stick with your guns, stick with your vision, stick with what you know is right and important. And that's what we're going to do.
Thank you. Dr. Denson?
Yes, any of the DEI work that we've been doing is all focused on student success. As I mentioned, 32% of our students are diverse, and we want to make sure that they and everyone else has an opportunity to succeed. So if we break down what we were doing into the actions we were performing, there's no objection. It's to help students succeed as individuals. I mean, we're not targeting groups. We're targeting individuals and how they may be successful. So you may not hear us use the words, but you're going to see us do the same actions because we're helping students succeed.
Thank you. Mayor?
Yeah, I think that let's just state for the record that our priorities have not changed whatsoever at the city. Maybe labels change, But the point is that commitment remains resolute. In terms of our hiring practices, in terms of, I mentioned the Human Relations Commission, we're pushing harder to get more things to make it feel welcome in this community. It's unfortunate we become more polarized around this issue. I think I really feel for Iowa State University in particular and some of the things that are coming down from the legislature. We have not talked at all about any changes, and I don't think that anything at the staff level has been changed either. So we're going to remain resolute and committed to that. And again, you can't change the fact that we have over 100 different nationalities in this community. And what are we going to do? Tell them you can't come to something? No, that's absolutely crazy. So it is disheartening. And so there's to my knowledge, and I could be wrong, but there's nothing that's going to be changing. Maybe we scrub a name from here or there, and we're not trying to be surreptitious. But the point is that our values and the council's goals remain resolute, and that is we want everyone to feel that Ames is a welcoming place and that we value people's diversity, no matter what that is. And it'll just, as long as I am serving, that's my focus, and I know that's council's focus, and I'm confident it's staff's focus also.
Thank you.
The Morrill Act, the Morrill Act of 1862 is how Iowa State was established, along with all the other land-grant universities across the United States. And the idea and vision of the Morrill Act was to create a place for learning to be open for everyone. And that's, again, one of the reasons what attracted me to Iowa State was that openness and the opportunity to work with everyone. And in responses to the other questions, I gave some statistics in terms of our student success. We're committed to having the best first to second year retention, the best four-year graduation rate, and the best six-year graduation rate for our students. And all of those will result in positive career outcomes that have an impact on the economy of the state and beyond. We're also doubling down our efforts towards faculty success and making sure that our faculty can be successful in securing promotion. And this goes for our staff as well, to be able to be successful and have a path forward for their career progression. So it's about developing a relationship with and a plan for each and every one of our students, staff, and faculty for them to be successful. Some of the elements of that may mean how I address and again, I talked about receiving a personal invitation to attend events. We need to be sure at the university that if there's a student that appears to not feel welcome, that we welcome them to an event. That's what we're committed to.
Thank you. President Dieter?
I think on the back of our business cards, we carry this tagline that says, doing what's right. And it's a good reminder. I have two quotes in my office. One is Kierkegaard about life must be lived going forward, but will only be understood looking backward, which is important. But the more meaningful quote is from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It says, in the end, it will not be the words of our enemies that will haunt us, it's the silence of our friends. And I think it does call us to speak for what we plan and what we intend and what we value. And that's really a call to everybody in this room. If you believe that DEI efforts, if you believe that equality for all are good and true and right and honest, then you must use your voice. Because there's more power in the audience than there is up here on the table.
Thank you. Superintendent Grimes?
How about that?
You were waiting for that one, weren't you? I'm going back to all means all. As a public education system, we educate every student that walks through our door, no matter how diverse it is, whether they feel like they're not getting equity in their education or they're not feeling included, and we need to change that narrative. I pulled up an email, because I do get a lot of emails on this, kind of pointing out what I need to change in my own belief system, and it's kind of hard to believe to change that when these are the things I believe in. And my first reply says, thank you for your email and for sharing your thoughts. I will remain committed to supporting our diverse population and ensuring an equitable education for all students, striving to make everyone feel included and valued within our system. They replied back with, thank you for doing those three things, and I want to reply back and say, that's exactly what you told me not to do. So it is about the people in the room focusing on what's best for students. I have 4 children. All of them fall differently in what I believe sometimes they do not feel like they fit in the state of which they grew up in. I was an administrator at certain times that I felt like I was leading an organization, did not believe in what I could do and what I believed in myself to be able to provide due to some of the hurdles and challenges that we are faced with educating our youth. What I do know is that I have found a community, a school board, and a school system, along with Regents and DMACC, that believes that education for all means education for all. It's a pocket of Iowa that is around the state that is very strong, but for some reason, like mentioned before, the voices are not being heard, and that's of the students that every day come to school and want to see individuals that represent themselves. They want to see jobs that they can believe that they can do, and that I want to see volunteers come into the education system and help us so that students can see themselves in public. That is an ask. It's always about, well, what can we do for our students? But we need a population that shows up to games. As I mentioned, I met with the NAACP, and I said, I have a high school team that is 95% black. I look in the crowd, and I'm not seeing the representation that they would like to feel in the crowd. That is what I'm talking about, is our students need to see their kind, their beliefs, and people supporting them in these times of struggle. And that's why I have cards and a calling for all of you to help us meet the need to, once again, my email went away, remain committed to supporting our diverse population and ensuring an equitable education and ensuring all students are striving to make everyone feel included and valued within our education system. And that's what I'm committed to, and I don't have kids in the system, but that does not mean that's not what I believe. I've had people tell me that you're the first, I'm just gonna stop from there, but we need your help to offset and be the voice that we need to communicate what's best for Ames Public School System, University of Iowa State, all the regents in Iowa, as well as our community colleges. We need a voice to help provide dollars to us and ensure that we're doing what's best for the kids. My understanding is I had families that took our 3-day weekend and they were looking for housing outside of the state of Iowa during the 3-day weekend because they weren't comfortable sending their kids to school anymore. That is a concern. That's humbling for me as a leader.
Thank you. We're going to move to our last question.
Another theme in the questions that we received from the audience is around members of our community with immigrant, refugee, or other statuses. So the question in summary is as follows. Can you talk about your organization's policies or plans you may have regarding how members of our communities with immigrant or refugee statuses can feel safe and protected? And if so, how are those policies or plans being communicated? So we'll start with you, President Denson.
Yeah, this is a developing story, as we know. Our team, we've been briefed on what the law is, what we have to do. We are not giving out any information other than directory information under the law. We've got a great relationships with law enforcement. So far, all communication we've had have been positive, but we serve a tremendous number of individuals where English is not their first language, our ESL courses. So clearly, there's a lot of concern in that community. Can they go to church? Can they go to school? So we're trying to provide them assurance, and we're having them reach out to the various agencies within the state that provide support, and not-for-profit primarily, agencies that provide support and guidance, but very unsettled territory right now.
Thank you, President. Mayor?
Yeah, my heart breaks and really is saddened to think of those that don't feel safe. I can't speak specifically to any policies. Council has not talked about any policies whatsoever. But I think we do recognize that there are people who may be in that category who don't necessarily even trust law enforcement. They're uncomfortable. But for those, some of you may have been at it, that it was a back-to-school event that was held at the middle school where we gave out backpacks and supplies, and it was the most diverse group of students and families that I have seen in quite some time. And law enforcement was there, and the fire department was there, trying to build relationships and humanize to get that trust. In terms of, was it policy? Can you, that was a long question, so.
Sure. So what policies or plans does the city have related to individuals in our community who have immigrant, refugee, or related statuses? And if you have any plans for them to feel safe or protected, how are those plans being communicated?
That's a pretty specific question. And to answer, we don't have any specific, from a council standpoint, policies or plans relative to immigrant, refugees, and it could be that I think law enforcement is here to provide safety for everybody, regardless of who they are. But beyond that, we don't really have any other response.
Thank you, Mayor. Dr. Keith?
We just initiated some discussions at the institutional level. It's pretty early to really have a lot to say on the matter beyond what Dr. Denson said. It's essentially very similar.
Thank you, Provost. Brian?
Well, we have for years had in our emergency departments a required federal poster, which I used to hate, now I'm going to start to love, because it does say, it's the law that we will provide care to all. I used to think it was like the lowest common denominator when you have to rely on the law, as opposed to what I said in my last question, doing what's right. It's like, well, we shouldn't have to have, but now we have this law. And until we don't have that law, I'm going to say that is the law of the land. We are going to care for all. And we publicize that. And again, I used to think it was as a sign I wasn't proud of. Now I might have to say, I'll change, I'll grow. And but as long as that's the law of the land, we're going to be able to rely on that. I cannot imagine that our country would change that law and say that we should discriminate. And if that law and protection goes away, then we'll have to go back to what I said in my last question. We're going to have to look to do what's right, and we'll rely on that. But we are open for all. We know that we are an important resource for all, and we provide care. Our board has been adamant. I've been at the medical center for more than 25 years now in a leadership role since the day I got to Ames. We provide care to all, period.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. Superintendent?
This has weighed heavy on, I don't even think I heard the question because I was still kind of reeling from my last comment, but I wouldn't say reeling, but just soaking it in of what we work with day in and day out. We do have protections and policies in place for any time we have any type of enforcement or stranger within our buildings. We have protocols set in place to help communicate to families as soon as possible. And also, we've upped it to the point where district office will be on site anytime we feel that there's a challenge or some policy questions on what we can do and not do. We just want communication going out to our families today, went out to staff yesterday, really kind of assuring that we do have things in place. And I think the ultimate thing that I ended with my administrative team yesterday, as we spent probably 30 minutes discussing supports, how we're going to provide and care for our kids, how do we reach out to families. I pretty much said we have to do as we would do anybody else, is we have to work with the laws that we have. We have to ensure that our students, no matter what the situation, is treated with dignity and respect. And we often, when respecting and having conversations with that, with law enforcement, the city, or any other challenges that school districts have when it comes down to working with their kids, most individuals understand and respect that and tend to want to work what's best for that kid in that situation and scenario. But that's the gravity of where we're sitting. And I mentioned earlier, and our job is to educate students, but yet this is what we're communicating about day in and day out. If our kids don't feel safe and our families don't feel safe, we don't have them to educate.
Thank you, Superintendent. Supervisor Merkin?
We have not had discussions at the county level yet about this issue, but I do have a couple things I'd like to say. First, I would like to thank everybody up here on this panel for having looked at this issue and trying to figure out what you need to do legally and what you can do to protect people. I am very reassured by that. I am not surprised. I would not have expected less of any of you. And the other thing I would want to say is, I was thinking about, as you were talking, I was thinking about the DC bishop, and I'm sorry I cannot remember her name, but the one who the other day pled for mercy for children whose parents will be taken away from them. And I thought about that, and I thought about how we tell children, if you're in a bad situation, look for the helpers. Well, law enforcement need to be looked at as the helpers. What are we doing to our society? What are we doing to these kids? If law enforcement, instead of being the helpers, the people you look to, if there's trouble, that they're the people who are bringing trouble into your lives. That's very... People didn't go into law enforcement to do that.
Thank you, Supervisor. Well, we're quickly coming to the close of our program, so I would like to offer our thanks and appreciation for each member of our panel. And as we close up, we'd like to offer each of you the opportunity for any final remarks that you'd like to leave with our attendees today before we head out this afternoon. So Mayor Hala, we'd like to start with you for any final remarks.
I just want to thank everybody for coming and having the opportunity to just share some thoughts and also to hear from our panelists. And thanks to the League of Women Voters, KHOI, NAACP, and United Way for hosting it. I just think it's, honestly, I'm not asking for more meetings, but the point is even a mid-year wouldn't hurt, but it's just nice every year to review what's going on, and all of us are reachable, and if someone wants to call me, my cell phone is on the website, and so is my email. Also, I do text, but the point is I welcome anyone to reach out and ask questions. And again, thank you for coming, and thanks for hosting.
Dr. Keith?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to visit with all of you today. And I think Iowa State's an incredible institution. I've worked at two other universities. So Iowa State's my third. And so I've got an incredible job, an incredible boss to work for. It's a great institution. I said earlier, Ames is the largest city I've lived in 25 years. Did I tell you that? It's true. It's like people think that I'm like making up a story here, but I came from Mississippi State University in Starkville, and Starkville has 20,000 people. Prior to that, I was at Michigan Technological University in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So in addition to seeing more snow than almost all of you combined during the 11 winters that I lived up there, there's about 7,000 people there. So add those two populations together, double it, Ames is bigger than that. And so it took me a month to find my way around town without a map. So right here, so thank you for welcoming me.
Thank you, Brian.
Just my thanks to the sponsors, the organizers, the League, the United Way, NAACP, and KHOI Community Radio for pulling this community forum together. It's one of those things that I think Rob and I are the longest speaking members of this at this point. But I've been in Ames long enough that I remember when they invited me to join Young Professionals of Ames. It's been a long time. It's been a fantastic community to be a part of, and we have a lot to be proud of. And your involvement and your interest in our community makes our community better. So thanks for that.
Thank you, Brian. Superintendent?
Yeah, I want to echo everything that's been said up here, and I also want to ensure that we don't end on the note that we just ended with that question, because there's a lot of great things that we have up here to support each other with. We have plenty of opportunities to support our Ames K-12 students as well as our college students, and our students that are just looking to find a place in a home, in a workplace. Just an honor to be here. It's only been 7 months for me, but I feel like I've been here for a long time, and I've probably communicated as if I've, have like a 10-year contract, and then, you're just going out there. I'm like, well, anyway, I speak my mind, and I know what's best for kids, and I support all of you for being here and listening, and we may not agree on everything, but hopefully we can agree that kids, we need to spend time and energy on them, and we need to develop them to the best, and I think that's something that no one in this room can argue against. So thank you. Business cards.
Linda?
Okay. Well, I've got about 20 things I didn't get to that John didn't let me get to, so I'll take the time now. No, seriously. I want to thank you all for being here. I, of course, want to thank the sponsors, but I, in particular, want to thank the audience, because you are showing your sense of community, belonging to your community, and caring about every single person in the community. And I think some people have said, we're going to need your help. There are going to be a lot of things that might come down this year that aren't going to be very pretty, and we need informed citizens to talk to their elected officials, us, who are elected officials up here, and all those other elected officials about what's important and why it's important. So thank you so much for giving your time on a Friday afternoon to be here and to listen to all of us.
And Dr. Denson?
Yeah, I'd also like to say thank you all for the support you give to all the organizations that are here at the panel. And that our success is based upon the support you give us. So let us know, and if you see something that we should be doing that we're not, make sure you get his business card, and then he's got my number.
Well, thank you all. This does conclude our State of the Community Address for 2025. Again, we want to extend our heartfelt gratitude to these panelists. You could hear the emotion, you could hear the truthfulness, and it just really was extremely heartwarming today to hear their insights. We also want to thank, of course, each of you in the audience for your attendance and your ongoing engagement in making our community a vibrant place to live and work. Remember that you can address any remaining questions to our panelists via the contact information provided or take their business cards. Again, we'd like to express our special thanks to the League of Women Voters of Ames and Story County, the United Way of Ames, the NAACP, and KHOI Radio for their support in this event. Thank you all for being here this afternoon, and we wish you a safe journey home. All of us contribute and are involved, and our involvement is so crucial to the shaping the future of our community. Let's have a final round of applause for our